Here again for the second conference of PARADISO, and I really thank the organizers for inviting the European Economic and Social Committee to be here discussing with eminent leaders, business people, practitioners, researchers this very important subject. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living unprecedented days. We are living a financial crisis that has been with us for 2 years, 3 years, a crisis which has led to a more severe, deeper problem for all of us. We are living a social crisis. We are living a political crisis. We are living a day in which we're seeing great unemployment rates increasing. We have a young generation who has never been so prepared, also through the internet, for the labor market, and never has been so disappointed. We are living days in which the commitment for long-term sustainability is decreasing. We're seeing recession in industry. We're seeing demographic changes. We have a great responsibility, and we know that the internet and ICT is one of the tools that can address these problems which we are facing. So to get there, we need a very ambitious vision. A vision for digital transformation in Europe. A transformation which is essential for our economic future and also for our social future, to ensure that we have an increase in growth and jobs. And we need to do this thinking that it's important to also have equity and inclusion. And this is why I think one of the flagships of EU 2020, the digital agenda, is very important for us. And it's there to really see that we do get this ICT innovation. I am not a technical person, I have to be very honest with you, but in my professional life and as Vice President of the ESC, I have focused a lot on how ICT can actually bring about change. And, you know, we heard it already. We cannot predict the future, but we can definitely plan out for it. And this is something which I think the PARADISO project is doing very well in planning out how society can be changed, how we can improve for the future. But it's also very important to be prepared for the positive and also the negative implications. And I think here, Vice President Cruz's ambition that we have to have, that every European has to be digital, is very, very important. But for us at the ESC, being digital, that every European is digital, means providing a digital space with equal business and social opportunities for all citizens, while ensuring that the security and human rights are respected in all manners in real life. And to achieve this, we really need to strike a balance between the social issues and the economic issues. We need to get consensus about this. And speaking about consensus, I cannot not mention our committee, which is really based on consensus. We are 344 people coming from employers, organizations, trade unions, and NGOs, where we get together to reach consensus on all the issues related in Europe. And this is our strong point. And in our work on the ICT, we have in these last 3 years produced something like 30 different opinions in relation to this subject, including opinions about the telecoms reform package, roaming regulations, RFID, radio spectrum policy, the Internet of Things, digital dividend, so on and so forth. But I will not go into everything, so don't worry. I know I stand between you and the coffee break, so it's okay. But I want to point out a very important aspect. So as a committee, we are fully supportive of the digital agenda and the 7 pillars action plan. However, we want to go beyond that, and we have set our own recommendations. The first and most important recommendation, I believe, is the fact that if we are really serious about e-inclusion, we have to ensure that we include the internet, high-speed connectivity, within the scope of the universal services obligations. Also, it is very important to be doing this policy, but we really ask the Council and the Member States to start implementing policy in reality. And also that we need to have a strong regulatory framework to promote the interests of the greater number of citizens, since we believe that the market alone cannot properly regulate itself. We also suggest a number of actions. Simple actions, you may say it's obvious, but if you look around you, there are actions which are still not happening. First is that ICT products and services need to be suitable for the needs of the aging population and also for the needs of people with disabilities. We have heard about funding, and yes, we need to see increased funding in ICT innovation. But we also need to see increased funding in awareness campaigns for SMEs and for citizens. We need to have ICT products and services which are really based on open standards. We need to have useful online content and services, and therefore implement an EU-wide certification scheme for e-traders. Last but not least, privacy is to be guaranteed, and personal data and safely stored, particularly when we're speaking about children and adolescents. We also were asked to produce an exploratory opinion just before our summer recess on digital literacy, e-skills, and e-inclusion. And I think the most crucial thing is that no European should ever suffer e-inclusion. It is the right of every citizen to be able to be on the internet, to have access to e-services. E-inclusion requires a global approach from a human perspective, a social perspective, and a commercial perspective. What does being e-included mean, really? It means being online, knowing how to use the equipment, feeling at home with the equipment, and also being able to make a critical assessment of what is available on the internet. From our side, we are contributing by having specific events, which we shortly will have an event called Click It, which we're doing in collaboration with the Polish presidency. And this is really aimed at trying to help civil society and the citizens realize and see the tools they have accessible to them. We also are organizing a public event on e-literacy in Ireland later on this year. So, yeah, ICT can help, is one of the tools to get out of our social and financial crisis. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit more to get out of our political crisis. There we need some basic human skills like courage, willingness to take bold decisions, and solidarity. Some basic European values. But even there, the internet can help a little bit. We're seeing how democracy is changing with the use of social media. We see how citizens are getting information immediately, but are forming the news, are making the news. And we see some politicians getting very nervous about what is going on in the social media. So there is some hope even in that aspect. And I'm pretty sure that when we come to the next European Parliament election, much of the campaign will be done in the 140 characters of Twitter. So I'm looking forward to that, to see brevity in our political speeches. However, I think we have a great responsibility over there. Because if we want the value of solidarity to prevail, we also need to be able to use this new media well ourselves. So it's important, very important to be doing policy, but it's also very important to be using these tools to listen and to also make sure that the citizen knows about these policies. We will continue contributing to the PARADISO effort. We will continue contributing to the digital agenda-related issues for the future. And I believe we need to do 3 things on an international level. That we have equal access for everybody to the minimum required infrastructure, appropriate knowledge and skills for those who need it most, especially the elderly, disabled and less affluent people, and a strong protection for basic fundamental rights like privacy, personal security, and free expression and circulation of ideas. The fight of cyberspace and the increased security with a view to increasing trust in the network. And in this context, I think the PARADISO report has also one very important message which all of us should keep in mind in our discussions, and that we need a bottom-up approach. The focus should be the user. The focus should be the citizen. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this in mind, I tell you, you have a great responsibility in front of you for these 2 days. But I look forward to your conclusions, because I know this is a very important step for our future. So good luck.